Hey folks, what's going on? Justin Masson here with Nintendo Dads with a little bit of Nintendo news update. By now you've probably heard that E3 2020 has been cancelled. And if you have not, well, the thumbnail probably also tells you that. So this information is kind of coming hot off the press. Now, late last night, we began to see some information swirling about whether E3 was going to be canceled. We saw some devs begin to cancel their flights and their hotel rooms, which began to make people think perhaps we were being canceled. There was no official news from E3 at that point. However, early this morning, that information came out. And it's definitely disappointing that E3 2020 has been canceled. E3 has always been this mecca event for game enthusiasts, journalists, fans, the industry to come together and celebrate the things that we love in one spot, in one location. Together to, press flesh, meet each other, say hi, and get hands-on with some of the things that we are the most excited about. So this is definitely disappointing. In this video, I kind of want to talk about a couple of things. First, what could Nintendo do as it relates to E3, and then what does this mean for an industry? So let's start off with the first one. What does Nintendo do? Well, if I'm kind of being honest, Nintendo doesn't really need to change a lot. Now, we're going to break this down in two different ways. Nintendo has been doing their direct-to-the-consumer direct video presentations for a while now, and they've had great success. So they can absolutely continue that methodology. Interestingly enough, now that it's not that week, do they need to have it in June? Could they have it another time? Could they blow out the doors at a different time? Something to think about. So Nintendo's done kind of three approaches. They've done the video direct, they've done the Treehouse, which is live there, and then they've done the demo stations on the floor as well. So the direct check, I think they can actually continue to do that, no big concern. Let's talk about the Treehouse. Well, the Treehouse has always been a great opportunity for developers to show up with members of the NOA team and show off and talk about and kind of provide more of an in-depth discussion and playthrough of the games that they're offering. So, how does Nintendo tackle this? Well, interestingly enough, there's no reason they actually can't do this back at Nintendo HQ. They can go back to NOA and go back to Redmond, Washington, and actually use the space there in the actual building and provide this kind of direct experience. We've actually seen them do this in the past. I believe it was with Splatoon that they actually showed off kind of the Treehouse inside NOA and had that experience. Now, I'll take a bit of a pause here. Typically, what we would see is potentially game developers from other companies show up on the stage as well. This obviously may be where the little bit of the rub is or the challenge is, because some companies may now have travel bans associated with this, meaning that they may be on the East Coast and obviously NOA is on the West Coast. They're not allowed to fly. They're not allowed to go through airports due to due to safety reasons. So definitely that could cause a bit of a challenge. But what they could do is they could use some kind of video platform, such as Zoom, Adobe Connect, WebEx, and actually bring the developers in and do some kind of live broadcasting, very similar to like what we do when we stream content, right? Maybe it's hosting, right? Hosting another developer's presentation within their own Nintendo Treehouse direct feed, very much kind of like we would doing gameplay or live stream on OBS as well. So I think they're definitely able to do that. So there's some solutions. It's going to take a little bit of finagling to do it, but I'm sure that they could do it. And I think the Treehouse at actually Redmond is a very interesting idea for them to tackle and has some benefits there. Let's talk about hands-on time. Well, this is definitely the challenge. If you can't show up at E3 and you can't actually get your hands on a controller, it's hard to play it. Well, yes and no. So here's something that they could do, and they have done. I think it was nearly about 4 or 5 years ago, Nintendo, when it was the Wii U, actually pushed out demos of some of the indie games that were coming out on the platform in the near future, allowing you the opportunity to kind of do this little download and try out these brand new games. So Nintendo could actually do that. Now, will they do that? That's challenging as well. We can always see that when a demo is sometimes released, people go through the code, break it, and they find all the information and, leak that as the internet does. But Nintendo could actually distribute out downloadable content or demo sections of their games for fans at home to try. So again, this could actually create more exposure and more hands-on time and create more hype potentially. So they do have an opportunity, but I'm sure there's some gating around that that they'd want to kind of control as well. So those are kind of some of my methodologies or thoughts of how Nintendo could actually still show up at E3 and do their kind of presentations. Again, I don't know if it actually changes a lot for Nintendo. I think there's just some things that they need to kind of rethink or wrap their mind around. So let's talk about the other part of this as well. Is E3 dead? Well, That's a challenge. It's a challenging one to think about, and not one that probably any of us will have a direct answer for, but a couple things to think about. As companies are now forced to be in the situation where they are not going to be in the E3 kind of platform to be able to share that experience, they need to find different ways to get their information out to their fans. Most of them will probably take a similar distribution route, much like Nintendo, and what we recently saw from Yacht Club Games, where they create their own kind of direct and their own information straight to their consumers. Or use other digital platforms, such as something like the Kind of Funny Showcase, to highlight their games as well, using a different methodology as opposed to actually being at E3. We have to remember, going to E3 is a massive, massive cost for these companies. Not only do they have to pay for booth space, they also have to pay for flights, food, hotel, and any other accommodations for their staff. It's a massive amount and a massive investment. Well, hold on a second. What if they don't need to do that? What if they can find different methodologies? Not having E3 forces an organization, forces a developer, forces a publisher to think a little bit differently, and this may actually save them money. So imagine if all of a sudden they save this amount of money, they can maybe redeploy those funds into new staff, new IPs, new ideas, new technology that may actually benefit their company a different way. So when E3 2021 shows up, doors are open, maybe they say, well, hold on. I don't think it makes sense for us to go. Financially might not make sense. Why not continue what worked for us last year during 2020? So is E3 dead? I don't know. It's a great question. And industry pundits, such as myself or any other industry professional, will begin to have these conversations. Will E3 be dead? I don't know. E3 has always been a mecca for us, has always been a touchstone for fans to come together, to join, to celebrate the things that we love, to see friends that we haven't seen for years, to touch flesh and be excited. What does this mean for other industry events as well? Obviously, GDC was delayed. Potentially, will it be canceled? I don't know. What about Gamescom at the middle or end of August? What about PAX West? These are also huge events for the industry to attend. Will these things be changing as well? It's tough to say. I don't know. Time will only tell with what actually happens. But folks, that is it. That is my thoughts on what Nintendo could do. What does it mean for E3? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Yeah, let's have a conversation. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. It's just the facts of what's currently here. And I'm just speculating my thoughts. I'm just spitting out what could work, what my ideas are, and asking some questions. That's it. So guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this. Take care. Bye-bye.